Imagine walking down a dark hallway so realistic you can almost feel the air getting colder. Unreal Engine 5 is redefining fear itself, and today we're looking at the 20 most ultra-realistic horror games coming in 2025 and 2026. Get ready, because what you're about to see might haunt you long after the video ends. From the creators behind Friday the 13th, the game and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes a chilling return to one of horror's most iconic legacies, Halloween. Developed by IllFonic in collaboration with Gun Interactive, this new title resurrects the dread of John Carpenter's 1978 classic in a way that's both nostalgic and brutally fresh. Set in the quiet, cursed town of Haddonfield, the game captures the essence of pure evil through an asymmetrical horror sandbox where you can step into the mask of Michael Myers himself, or try to survive his hunt as one of the terrified townspeople. As Michael, your mission is as simple as it is horrifying. Stalk, hunt, and eliminate your victims before the night of Halloween ends.
Need to warn their neighbors before it's too late. Finding an active phone will allow you to call the police and attempt to convince them to send in help. Just remember, you may be able to knock him down, but you can't kill the boogeyman. We hope you've enjoyed this extended look at gameplay for Halloween. We've only scratched the surface of what's shaping up to be a truly special...
From the mind of Hideo Kojima comes something dark, strange, and deeply personal. OD. The newest teaser, unveiled during Kojima Productions' 10th anniversary stream, dives into nearly 3 minutes of haunting, in-engine footage that blurs the line between film and nightmare. You wander through a suffocating corridor where candlelight flickers against damp concrete, and somewhere behind the shadows, something watches. The air is thick with unease, every knock echoing like a heartbeat in the dark. Kojima calls it Knock, a reference to his own fear turned into art. It's not just a game, it's a psychological experiment drenched in atmosphere. Using Unreal Engine 5, Kojima Productions and Xbox Game Studios are crafting a new kind of horror, one that crawls under your skin rather than jumps out from the screen. Liminal Point draws you into a world suspended between dream and nightmare. You step into the shoes of Lyra, a musician returning to the fog-soaked island of Ashen Point, a place she once called home, now haunted by whispers and regret. Her bandmate, Mira, vanished years ago, and now the island calls her back to uncover the truth. Every creaking dock, every echo in the mist, feels alive with something watching. Supplies are scarce, messages are cryptic, and the shadows hold their breath as you explore. Built in a modern engine with beautifully eerie lighting and textured environments, Liminal Point pays homage to legends like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and Signalis, combining classic survival horror tension with a fresh psychological edge.
Waiting in the place where hope turned to ash. So come and find me.
In the Twilight Project, horror breathes through contrast between sunlight and shadow, calm and chaos. You arrive in a remote Thai village as a stranded tourist, where by day the air feels heavy, the streets eerily still, and cryptic clues lie scattered through temples and empty houses. But when night falls, the world changes. Reality fractures, and a parallel shadow dimension awakens. The serene village turns grotesque, and the air fills with whispers and screams. Teapot Studio calls this their day and night dimension system, a mechanic that makes the world itself your greatest enemy. By day, you explore and uncover lore. By night, you defend yourself, set traps, and pray the safe zones hold. You You awaken on a storm-battered island, the tide whispering secrets you were never meant to hear. This is Ritual Tides, a first-person horror experience drenched in cosmic unease and cultish devotion. You have no memory of how you arrived here, only the relentless sound of waves crashing and the distant chants that echo from within the cliffs. The island is alive with dread. Flickering candles, stone altars, and twisted symbols carved into the walls. Its inhabitants are missing, or perhaps they've become something else entirely. Rather than cheap scares, Ritual Tides builds tension like a slow, dark ritual, one step at a time, until it feels like the island itself is breathing with you. The former developers behind Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption have traded open roads for closed circles of madness, crafting a deeply atmospheric story about the lure of power and the price of knowledge.
No, hold on. I've got something to show you.
Frame Zero is a name that feels loaded with meaning, a reset point, a beginning before the beginning. The developers are keeping things close to the chest, but what we know paints a picture of something ambitious. A cinematic fusion of horror, sci-fi, and philosophy built in Unreal Engine 5 for PS5, Xbox, and PC. The visuals promise a film-like quality powered by UE5's Lumen and Nanite, creating worlds that feel almost too real. The tone hints at existential dread, where technology and human consciousness intertwine in dangerous ways, and time itself may not be as linear as it seems. Frame Zero is less about what you see and more about what you think you understand, until the ground shifts beneath your feet. While gameplay details remain a mystery, the atmosphere alone suggests a mind-bending journey into the unknown. Dark Lessons traps you in the kind of nightmare that feels too intimate to escape from. The story unfolds within the creaking walls of your teacher's house, where a sudden blackout plunges everything into darkness, and what was once familiar now feels haunted. Only a few candles flicker to guide your way, casting warped shadows across the furniture, whispering secrets through the silence. As you explore, you uncover fragments of her past, cryptic notes, old photographs, and unsettling evidence that her family was hiding something deeply disturbing. Every puzzle solved draws you closer to the truth, but also closer to whatever presence still lingers in the house. The tone is slow, deliberate, and suffocating, channeling Lovecraftian dread rather than sudden shocks. They Left Us Here begins with silence, the kind that echoes through empty metal corridors and dying machinery. You awaken on a decaying space station, alone, with no memory of who you are or what went wrong. The lights flicker weakly, systems hum and fail, and every step you take feels watched. Through notes, recordings, and broken terminals, you piece together fragments of a story, one that hints at betrayal, failed experiments, and something far worse still lurking aboard. As you move deeper, the tension thickens. Is it the malfunctioning AI that hunts you, or something else entirely? The game thrives on isolation and atmosphere, using sound and environmental detail to keep you on edge. Project Spectrum throws you into a world infected by a phenomenon known only as Ember, a strange, corrupting force that warps both the land and the living. Built in Unreal Engine 5, this tactical horror shooter blends strategy, survival, and psychological tension. You play as an operator, leading a squad of agents into Ember Zones, places where reality itself breaks apart. Within these zones, nothing behaves as expected. Environments twist, creatures mutate, and your own sanity becomes a fragile resource. Every mission is a gamble, balancing combat, exploration, and command decisions under unbearable stress. The danger isn't just out there, it's inside you too. Sometimes, the corruption doesn't stay behind once you leave. The developers hint that players might even become the threat, blurring the line between hero and monster. Broken lore don't lie pulls you deep into the fractured psyche of Junko, a young woman isolated from the world, whose reality begins to unravel in terrifying ways. Her tiny apartment becomes a maze of illusions, walls that breathe, hallways that stretch forever, pools that reflect impossible things. Inspired by the Japanese Dodomeki myth, the game fills every corner with haunting symbols and monstrous eyes that watch from the dark. But the horror isn't only in what you see, it's in what you feel. Junko's fragile mind creates a second layer of existence, where hallucinations blur with truth. At the center of it all is Fantasy Boy, a retro side-scrolling game within the game that begins as a harmless distraction but soon becomes a gateway into Junko's mental decay. As her sanity collapses, the 2D and 3D worlds fuse together, forming a nightmare that shifts with every lie you tell. GORE is not just a title, it's a warning. Set in the remote wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, this found-footage horror experience captures dread in its rawest form. You hold only a flashlight and a handheld camera, venturing into the woods to document the spread of a grotesque infection, a living, fleshy organism devouring the land itself. Trees pulse with veins, animals twist into unrecognizable shapes, and even the earth seems to breathe. The game uses environmental storytelling and slow burn tension to drag you into its decay. You're not fighting monsters, you're witnessing nature's corruption, and it's unstoppable. Every recording you make feels like a final confession. Every rustle in the dark a sign you're not alone. There are no comforting soundtracks, no cinematic safety nets. Only the hum of your equipment and the endless rot creeping closer. In the lonely outskirts of Ohio, beneath the humming neon of an all-night gas station, something terrible is waiting. You play as Dan Cooper, a 25-year-old night shift worker recently laid off from a uranium plant, now trying to rebuild a simple life. But one night, a strange briefcase is discovered near a quiet lakeside, and from that moment, everything changes. The air thickens with static. The woods begin to whisper, and the gas station, once a place of mundane routine, becomes a trap. Built in Unity, Herror gas station case unfolds like a slow nightmare, a narrative-driven walking simulator drenched in tension and atmosphere. You'll stock shelves, ring up customers, and check security footage, mundane tasks that begin to warp as the night deepens. Dialogue sequences, flickering lights, and ambient dread replace traditional jump scares, grounding the horror in realism. A dense fog rolls across the water as Aaron returns to the island he once swore never to see again. Years ago, an expedition went terribly wrong, and his brother never came back. Now, drawn by guilt and unanswered questions, Aaron must face the past he abandoned. But the island has changed. The trees twist unnaturally, the air vibrates with whispers, and time itself feels distorted. Known also as Pinacle Point, this Unity-built horror experience dives deep into themes of cosmic dread and personal torment. It merges psychological and survival horror, scarce resources, intricate puzzles, and storytelling through the environment itself. Every object feels loaded with meaning, every shadow hides something watching. The deeper Aaron explores, the less certain reality becomes, as the boundary between guilt and nightmare fades.
But the island is different now. It knows me. It's been watching all these years. And now,
The
it's
Fractured
ready.
Shimmer is the kind of horror that doesn't scream, it whispers. Set within a pixel art world that hides a mind-bending psychological narrative, you play as Eddie, a journalist investigating an abandoned mansion after reports of strange lights and disappearances. What begins as a simple investigation soon twists into something surreal. The house seems alive, corridors stretch endlessly, walls breathe, and your tape recorder captures whispers from nowhere. The atmosphere bends between dream and delusion, past and present, as if reality itself is melting around you. fog rolls over the coast of Weymouth as Federal Marshal Grace Cooper steps off the boat, her flashlight cutting through the mist. She's searching for a missing scientist, but soon discovers that the town itself is built on something ancient, something that should have remained buried. Harrowlight is a third-person Unreal Engine 5 horror experience that blends narrative exploration with survival tension. Every abandoned diner, flickering street lamp, and boarded-up home tells a piece of the mystery. The town seems frozen in time, its decay hiding secrets that grow darker with every discovery. The supernatural presence beneath Weymouth pulses like a heartbeat under the ground, drawing Grace deeper into its influence. The visuals are striking: dynamic lighting, cinematic camera work, and dense fog that feels almost alive. After years of turbulence and delays, Vampire: The Masquerade. Bloodlines 2 is finally awakening from its long slumber, set to release on October 21, 2025, for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5 and developed by the Chinese Room, this long-awaited sequel returns to the neon-lit underworld of Seattle, where ancient bloodlines and modern ambition collide. You play as Fire, an elder vampire reawakened after a century of sleep, sharing your mind with Fabien, a vampire detective trapped inside your consciousness. This uneasy coexistence becomes both a weapon and a curse as you navigate the complex web of vampire politics. The game focuses on choice, morality, and manipulation, where a smile can be deadlier than a blade. Two fan-favorite clans, La Sombra and Toreador, once planned as DLC, are now fully included in the main experience, ensuring a richer story from the start.
Saved tonight, thanks. I've had this whole sexy priest fantasy since Catholic school.
You should have You just stroll into town, my town, a town I had to work to be a part of, with your big Bennett. You snooze, you lose.
I earned something.
Your story don't quite add up. Something's off about you. Fire.
At first glance, Eggspedition might sound playful, but step onto that hostile planet, and you'll realize there's nothing lighthearted about it. This cooperative survival horror experience throws you and up to 4 other players into an unforgiving world where your mission is deceptively simple: collect dinosaur eggs. The problem? The dinosaurs are very much alive, and they're hunting you. No egg, no evac. That's the rule. Every trek into the dense jungle, every step through abandoned facilities is a battle for survival. You'll need to manage resources, navigate shifting environments, and adapt to predators that learn from your actions. Built around tension and unpredictability, Eggspedition feels like Jurassic Park rewritten as a survival nightmare. Ill is horror stripped to the bone, raw, physical, and disturbingly real. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it throws players into a first-person nightmare that feels more like surviving a gruesome film than playing a game. You awaken in a world that's crumbling, rotten, and somehow alive. The lighting flickers like dying neurons, the sound design claws at your nerves, and the violence feels uncomfortably human. The developers behind ILL have backgrounds in horror cinema, and it shows. Every shot, every moment feels cinematic, intimate, and terrifying. This isn't about cheap jump scares. It's about making you flinch from sheer unease. Early gameplay footage showcases suffocating environments, limited resources, and encounters that make you hesitate before every turn. The game's tone falls somewhere between survival horror and psychological despair, inviting players to confront the grotesque reality of flesh, fear, and decay. Backrooms Lost Runners takes the viral urban myth of endless yellow halls and turns it into a full-blown cooperative survival horror built in Unreal Engine 5. Here, you and your friends are explorers, trapped in an infinite maze of buzzing lights and decaying wallpaper, where the real terror isn't just the entities stalking you, but the psychological breakdown that follows. The game introduces a deep system of sound-based stealth. Whispers, footsteps, or even a dropped flashlight can summon what lurks nearby. It's a living nightmare of paranoia where silence is survival. Lost Runners expands the familiar Backrooms concept with puzzles, electrical systems, and environmental hazards, blending logical problem-solving with cinematic horror. When a player dies, they're pulled into a distorted Tesseract realm, a surreal purgatory where others can attempt a rescue, or the fallen can claw their way back on their own.
We need to get to Epsilon. Fast. Fuck. Ryan? You... what the hell has even going on here?
Don't have time.
Psycho Dead blends psychic power with survival horror, creating a nightmare that's as mental as it is physical. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it puts you in the role of a young woman trapped inside a secret research facility where monstrous experiments roam free. She's gifted, or cursed, with psychic abilities that allow her to manipulate objects, sense danger, and glimpse fragments of the past. But these powers come at a cost. Every use draws her closer to exhaustion, or worse, insanity. The corridors are dim and oppressive, filled with flickering lights and the echo of distant screams. Resources are scarce, and combat is more about desperation than dominance. The story unfolds through exploration and environmental clues, revealing the horrifying truth about what happened in the lab and what's still happening.
Light about!
We, Atlas, made you, Elixir. I'm like a father to you.
I'll make them pay for what they did to you. This is my promise.